The last video I filmed got me thinking about V8s. Well, I'm always thinking about them, but there's also been some breaking news recently. The Lexus RCF is dead, so that's another V8 that's going to be gone at the end of 2025. And I'll talk about Lexus, I'll talk about all of the V8s you can still buy in 2025. There are a lot of them, but what made me really want to make this video is that the boss of Mercedes-AMG, the current one, has finally admitted that the C63 was a failure in the nicest way possible. He's got some words, so I'm just gonna read exactly what he said. We see that some of our very loyal customers struggle a bit with the concept. Of course, no doubt, we have also lost some customers who are just into V8s, he concedes. You need to really drive this car. It's a very convincing product. Look, I've driven it. It's a really good CLA 45S E-Performance Hybrid Power Boost Butterfly Raindrop, whatever you want to call it. It's not a C63 though. Anything else, fine. Just don't call it a C63. It's a 4-cylinder plug-in hybrid. The C63 was born as a V8. It needs to remain as a V8. I understand that it's no longer a 6.3 liter V8, even though it was a 6.2 liter, whatever, I'll forgive that. But the last one was a twin turbo 4 liter V8. That was fine. The actual product itself, the C63, people don't need that explained to themselves. All you need to know is when I drove that, I started it up and it made no sound. Nothing. The default startup sound is electric. That's not a C63. That's it. Don't blame the customers. Don't blame the fact that Mercedes didn't explain the technology enough to people. Trust me, it'll be great. No, people don't want that. They just want the V8 sound. That's it. They don't care about horsepower. They don't care about torque. They don't care about any of that stuff. The numbers, the 0 to 60, all that stuff. The sound. That's it. Okay, moving on from that. This is actually going to be a very comprehensive list. I've got everything on my phone. I think I've come up with every single V8 that you can currently buy in 2025. I may have missed some. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments, but here we go. Let's start with Lexus, just because the RCF is going to die at the end of 2025. However, that 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 still lives on. IS 500 has 472 horsepower. I've driven it. It's great. LC 500, same 5-liter V8, 471 horsepower, one less for some reason, whatever. No signs of discontinuing that car. I've driven both those cars. I could see myself owning a LC 500 in the future for sure. That is such a great cruising vehicle. And I have owned a Lexus ISF in the past. Also loved it. Also had a 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. So thank you, Lexus, for keeping that around. Now, I'm not going to differentiate between auto and manual. I've already done that. There's only 2 you can buy. Let's start with the next one that's also offered manual and automatic, which is the Mustang GT. Also a 5-liter V8, shout out naturally aspirated, 480 horsepower up to, I think, 500 in the Dark Horse. So there you go, that's still available. And let's not forget about the Mustang GTD, the most powerful street-legal Mustang ever made with a 5.2-liter supercharged V8 with 815 horsepower. That should be a super fun car for this year, although it's very, very expensive compared to the Corvette ZR1. The Ford F-150, 5-liter naturally aspirated V8 Coyote motor, makes 400 horsepower, so that's still around. Thank you, Ford. And thankfully, they even brought back the Ford Raptor R. Well, they didn't bring it back because it never existed, but they got the 5.2-liter supercharged V8 into the Raptor R, so they brought the V8 back to the Raptor. Thank you. I've got a 6.2 over there, non-supercharged yet. And that makes 720 horsepower, so still plenty of power available from that thing. Cadillac CT5e Blackwing, that makes 668 horsepower from a supercharged 6.2-liter V8, offered in both manual and auto. Shout out. That engine is also thrown into the Cadillac Escalade V. Same one, makes a little bit more power, 682 horsepower. The Corvette, let's move on to there's several of them. The base engine, naturally aspirated, 6.2-liter V8, makes 490 horsepower, I think a little bit more if you get an exhaust, 495, something like that. Corvette E-Ray, same 6.2-liter V8, paired with a hybrid powertrain to make it all-wheel drive, 655 horsepower. Great car, also driven that. I mean, I've actually driven most of what's on this list. Corvette Z06, naturally aspirated 5.5-liter flat plane crank V8, 670 horsepower. That thing rips, sounds great. Corvette, I should give them a shout out because I got a C6 Z06 that makes even more power than that, naturally aspirated. Corvette ZR1, twin turbo, V8, no hybrid, none of that nonsense, flat plane crank, 1,064 horsepower. That gets the biggest shout out on this entire list. Chevy, congratulations. That is a feat of engineering, and the price that they just announced is absolutely insane. That would be a fun car to own. Yes, it's dual clutch only, but I mean, it's got over 1,000 horsepower. That would be pretty fun to have as a flex car for a reasonable amount of money, considering the cars that also have that horsepower-ish. Big shout out to GM for the next few. Chevy Silverado, Sierra, Tahoe, Suburban, Yukon, Escalade, all of those, that whole family, 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 makes around 420 horsepower. I think possibly a little bit more given the model. And they even have a 5.3 liter V8 that's available in some of the trucks as well. So they've got two V8s. And I think GM did announce last year that they're investing heavily in V8 power plants to actually make more V8 models. So I do want to give a big shout out to GM for keeping the V8 alive. Thank you, GM engineers and bean counters and everyone who's responsible for that marketing, whatever, people, customers that are buying these things. Here's the next one, Dodge. No, it's not the Charger. It's not the Challenger. It's the Durango. And they offer three different V8s, okay? 5.7 liter V8 makes 360 horsepower. 6.4 liter V8 makes 470 horsepower, both of those naturally aspirated. And the supercharged 6.2 liter V8 in the Hellcat that is somehow still available in the Durango makes 710 horsepower. Why can't you just shove that into the new Challenger Charger thing? That would be great. I've driven the new EV thing. It needs a V8. And now we're back to talking about Mercedes because they have kept the V8 alive. I've got a 5-liter V8 over here, Mercedes, and then a 5.4-liter supercharged daily driver outside the E55. So Mercedes-AMG GT and the SL, both twin-turbo 4-liter V8, 577 horsepower. Now, they use this powertrain in many different vehicles, so let's get into that. Mercedes-AMG GT63S E-Performance 4-door coupe, ridiculous name. Twin-turbo 4-liter V8 hybrid makes 831 horsepower. I drove one, it absolutely rips. Mercedes S580, yes, the S-Class, has a twin-turbo 4-liter V8 making 496 horsepower. And if you want to bump that up, we still have the S63 twin-turbo 4-liter V8 plug-in hybrid makes 791 horsepower. That thing absolutely rips for its size as well. The BMW M8 RIP. Just a few days ago, it was announced that it is dead. They are no longer making it. They're no longer taking orders for 2025. That thing has a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8 with 617 horsepower. Now, luckily, BMW has kept that alive in many, many different versions of that 4.4, so I'm going to get into them. The BMW 760i, twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8. The M5, twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8 plug-in hybrid, 717 horsepower. I get it. It weighs a lot. It's not what an M5 should be. I've driven it on the Autobahn at over 300 kilometers an hour. It is effing fast. It is ridiculously fast. So does it go fast? Does it have a V8? Yes. Let's just leave it at that. It could have been worse. It could have been a 6-cylinder. BMW XM. Let's just not get into what that vehicle is because I don't really want to talk about that. But it does have a twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8 plug-in hybrid making up to 738 horsepower in the Label Edition, ridiculous name, or down to 644 horsepower. Down to. I've driven it. Let's not get into that. BMW X5 and X6M, twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8, 617 horsepower. BMW Alpina XB7, twin-turbo 4.4-liter, 631 horsepower. Range Rover Sport, it's going to sound familiar, twin-turbo 4.4-liter V8. That's because it's a BMW powertrain in that car. 626 horsepower. These are all very healthy numbers, by the way. Land Rover Defender, 5-liter supercharged V8, 518 horsepower. I absolutely love that car. They make it in the 2-door version. They make it in the long one. Great car. I would love to own one. Hopefully they are reliable, but I have my suspicions that it won't be. Okay, This is where the 4-liter V8 once again gets a little bit repetitive. Audi RS6 and RS7, twin turbo 4-liter V8, 621 horsepower. Audi S8, twin turbo 4-liter V8, 563 horsepower. Bentley Continental GT, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from the Volkswagen Audi group, up to 771 horsepower with the hybrid model. Bentley Flying Spur, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from the same group, 542 horsepower. Porsche Panamera Turbo E-Hybrid. Porsche, part of the Volkswagen Audi group, twin turbo 4-liter V8, 670 horsepower. Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from the same group, 650 horsepower. Lamborghini Urus Performante, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from the same group, 657 horsepower. Lamborghini Temerario. This is brand new for 2025. It is replacing the outgoing Huracan, which had a V10. RIP, love that thing so much. Now it has a twin turbo 4-liter V8 hybrid making 907 horsepower. Ridiculous power. I am sad to see it go from a V10. I could potentially see myself owning a Huracan or an R8 in the future, especially an R8 because they came in manual, but the Huracans absolutely rip and look amazing. Love those cars. We'll see how the Temerario holds up because it's a high revving V8, like very high revving, so it'll be interesting. Aston Martin DB12, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from AMG, 631 horsepower. Aston Martin Vantage, twin turbo 4-liter V8 from AMG, 656 horsepower. McLaren GTS, twin turbo 4-liter V8, 626 horsepower. McLaren 750S, twin turbo 4-liter V8, 740 horsepower. I love that car. I drove it in Las Vegas, on the outskirts of Vegas. I drove it on a racetrack. That is probably the most fun in a supercar that I've had last year. That car is insanely fast. It is so hard to explain to people how quick that thing is. It has boost by gear, so every time you shift, it gets even faster in the next gear. It has so much grip. That car is amazing. If I had to pick a car of the year, just no price, no anything, just the craziest car that I drove last year, it would be that one. Ferrari Roma, twin turbo 3.9-liter V8, 612 horsepower. I didn't really enjoy that car, but it exists and it's got a V8. Ferrari SF90 Stradale, twin turbo 4-liter V8 plug-in hybrid, makes 986 horsepower, so less than the Corvette, and it's a hybrid. I've heard that they are not retaining value very well. Let's put it that way. And just for fun, Koenigsegg. They've got a twin turbo 5-liter V8 between 1,300 horsepower and 2,300 horsepower with a hybrid. Absolutely insane. The prices on those are insane, and I think that's a very comprehensive list. I haven't listed any of the HD trucks because that market seems to be totally fine. Ram in the 1,500 went with the inline 6-cylinder, so I can't list that one. But I'm pretty sure that's it. Let me know what I missed. I'm happy to see that the V8 is still well and good. No problems with that. The only thing that I'm really noticing is that all of these cars that I listed, I'd say about 95% of them, are very expensive, like very expensive. And even the cheap ones, let's just say it's a truck, like an F-150 or a Mustang or something like that, those are still 40, 50, 60 grand kind of thing. So to get a V8, it's definitely costing you a lot of money. And yeah, gas and all that stuff, but who cares? V8s sound the best. I love that engine. Possibly a little bit too much, but I could see a V10 or something like that in my future as well. V6s I'm kind of definitely over with. 4 cylinders as well. 3 cylinders, definitely not. Although I can appreciate driving them, I just wouldn't want to own any of those things. So look forward to more V8 videos this year. I'll try and be less obsessive in the future, which means I need to open my wallet and get V10s and V12s because those are just very, very, very expensive. That's why the V8 is the sweet spot, in my opinion. Yeah, sure, 6-cylinder could be argued as well, but the V8 has the sound, has the power, and was affordable for a long time. And because, thankfully, GM is still shoving that V8 into their trucks and all that stuff, no, it's not an LS, but it's in the LS or LT family, that means we are going to have junkyard swaps available for years to come. So thank you, GM, for all that. And let me know if I missed anything once again, because I tried to do my best research on that, and that's all I can find. I'm sure there's probably like, I don't know, a Hennessy Venom or something ridiculous that I forgot. Maybe that's the one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next V8 related video, because that seems to be all I tend to do these days. I don't know, whatever. I'm back. Welcome back, baby.